Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. As you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today. We'll be relaxing as per usual. Anyone pick up some nice games in Steam sale? Have you still yet to do that? I've been looking at my wish list and being like, what game should I pick up? And it's not like nothing's come to mind. I'm just like, I have too many good choices. Should we look at my wish list now? Well, I mean, should I look at my wish list now and regale to you, I suppose, verbally, what I'm interested in? I suppose might be a future series on this channel. So Garden Story, sort of Button City, maybe? Garden Story and Button City at the top. So maybe I need to look at more into them. Pedestrian is a puzzle game which I've been looking at forever. Melon Journey. Anyway, hold on. Good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's at 8:23 p.m. on Thursday, July 6th, 2023. What else have we got on here which is on my mind? Little Gator Game. I heard about that one. Have a Nice Death is also another one I've heard about good things about, so that may be something I end up getting. So I don't even know what Spookware is, but apparently I've got it on my wish list. Oh, Paradise Killer, that's another one, which I've heard is pretty good. A Little to the Left, that's another reasonably popular recent game, I suppose. I guess it's kind of sort of like unpacking, so it's got that sort of vibe to it, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know. It's not what we're going to be talking about today. Oh, Rainworld. Yeah, I feel like Rainworld's had like a recent resurgence, because didn't Rainworld come out like ages and ages ago? But now for some reason, even more recently, I feel like I've seen people reference it like even more often, or people like playing it or something. I don't know if it's had like You Belong Here. I don't know if it's had like a resurgence or if it's had like an update or something, but I just found it kind of surprising, if anything. Not in a bad way, in a good way. Let's look at all this other stuff. Needy Streamer Overload is another one on my wish list, which I've heard about for like ages as well. I've heard it's like a subversive, I seem like visual novel sort of thing, but I think it's not got very like child friendly things going on in it from what I understand. So it's kind of a thing where I'm like, I don't really know if that's something I should be playing on the channel necessarily, but maybe one day. Maybe during like a, I don't know. If I had to censor it or something, it seems like certainly it would be quite a lot of effort. Yeah, but what should we talk about today? I don't really know. What comes to mind? It feels like I need to go on another conversational tangent, I suppose, at some point. Again, where I need to bring up a conversation from the depths of my mind to talk about. Have I ever talked about crab fishing before? This might seem like a random one, but it's something I've done once when I was younger. Like I was much younger. Like I must have been like, I'm going to ballpark my ages somewhere between like 4 to 7. But we went crab fishing once. I don't even know how I felt about the experience, to be honest. It was just like, I don't know. I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. But I do remember, I don't even know where we were. It was like me and my family along with a family friend and, well, their entire family, I suppose. And it's not even the most exciting story, so I don't know why I've chosen this as like and the anecdote for today, but at least I kind of remember it. But we went to like this pier, I can't remember, I think it was like a tour guide or like an instructor telling us about, what to look out for and things, and I don't really remember. The only thing I remember at that point, clearly I was not listening to the instructor, whatever, I was looking over a bridge and I just saw like a really big like catfish or something swim underneath, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Alright, let's not put that away. And then we got to like the crab fishing portion. I don't know if crab fishing is all about particularly, like if there's a set way that you're meant to do crab fishing. But if you didn't know, at least the way we did it, we didn't do crab fishing with like a fishing rod or a fishing reel. Well, I guess it's kind of a reel. What it was basically this like orange plastic square thing. You know what it was? It kind of looked like a kite spool. Whereas this orange square thing with like a spool of, I assume fishing wire, or maybe it's like crab wire or something, wrapped around it. Then at the end of the wire, I don't even remember if there was a hook or not. I genuinely can't remember. But I remember we put like a piece of like raw bacon on, or so some sort of raw meat on the end of it. And then that was basically just how we did crab fishing. We just like stuck right in the water kind of near a crab. A crab would walk up to it and go snip. And then it would pick it up, and then we'd like wind up the spool, and it would just like, I guess, really want to eat the food or something. So it just like held on, or maybe it like bit into it. I don't really remember, something like that. And then we just be like, whoa, we caught a crab. And then I think we just like put it in a bucket or something. I don't really remember. certainly like things like fishing, you know, hunting, etc., are not really things which particularly appeal to me. I guess it's like I understand the concept of, you know, fishing and like I suppose hunting from the sense of like, you know, meats as a food item, right? It's not exactly something which, you know, I'm like enthralled by the idea, but I wouldn't say I'd be hypocritical because of the fact I still eat meat and fish. Not like a huge amount, mind you, but still, you know, there's not really my place to say on these sort of things. But yeah, what I just remember it like I understand the concept of the fun of fishing, where it's just sort of really, if anything, it's just sort of like hanging out with your buddies, I suppose, and drinking beer for most of it, as I understand it. But, you know, people do go fishing by themselves and that sort of thing. And I suppose a lot of the time with fishing, it's not actually fishing to eat the food, isn't it? It's you catch, then release. It's just kind of fishing for the thrill of it, right? It's the fishing for achievement, I suppose, rather than harvest. Because you don't really need to, like, fish to catch your own food unless you live in like on a rural island or something, I assume. So I'd imagine a lot of people who do fishing now catch a fish, take a picture, chuck it back into the river or the ocean or the lake or whatever, because that's just kind of like the fisherman's way, I'd assume. I think that's kind of what we did, sort of. I don't really remember, because for some reason, I feel like I remember we took some crabs home, like not home, but to like the holiday place we were staying at. And I also feel like we either ate them, or like the adults ate them, because, you know, at the time I was like a young child, I was like, I don't want to eat crab. That's like a big spider or something. Yeah, but they either ate them or we all just like died or something. I genuinely don't know, you know, what the plan was, you know. That's certainly something you'd have to ask my parents and my family friends' parents about, because, you know, I didn't really have much say in it, being like the 5-year-old I was or whatever. But I just sort of remember seeing like we took like 6 of the biggest ones home and we released all the others. But I can't tell you, I can't really say it was much of that enthralling an experience, I'm going to be honest. It's sort of, fishing is quite a lot of waiting. Now, I'm a patient person, believe it or not, so I don't mind waiting, but I suppose it's just sort of like the end activity of the end result of what you're waiting for. It doesn't really seem like worth it's not a big enough payoff for what you do. It's you hold this orange square thing. I wonder if it's actually like an actual crab fishing pole or something. Crab fishing, Alaskan crab fishing, not what I had in mind. I don't know, we did not use like a crab pot or lobster pot. We had like a fishing reel-esque thing, but that doesn't seem to be the way that people do it. And that's what I remember. You know, we stuck some meat on the end of a hook, and I guess the crabs wants to eat meat. I don't really thought about it. What do crabs eat? I always just assumed they kind of eat like plants off the floor bed, but I guess if they were eating meat, well, either they want to eat meat, maybe they're like omnivorous or something, but well, what do crabs eat? Maybe eat like plankton or something. What do crabs eat? True crabs is an animal. Most crabs are meat-loving hunters and scavengers like fish, crustaceans, shrimp, and other small animals. Oh, I never really thought about that. They do eat non-meat options. In other words, some crabs are carnivorous, some are vegetarian, but most are omnivorous. Okay, well, I mean, fair enough, I guess. Never really thought about the fact that the crabs just ate meat. I just kind of assumed it was a thing where, like, you know, crabs were like vegetarian or like sometimes meat eater, like opportunistically eating meat or something. And it was just like, whoa, you know, meat was just a really effective bait, because they're just like, whoa, what's this like delicacy of like raw bacon? We never get that here. So, you know, it's sort of just like introducing junk food, I suppose, to human beings, where it's just like such an overindulgence over the types of tastes which humans like and appeal to, that it sort of becomes like a desaturation to other foods. And by the way, I don't know if I brought this up before, there's no relevance to crab fishing, but there's this one comic I read ages ago about that entire concept, about how the world now is very oversaturated with things, you know, like how fast food is like extra appealing to like tastes and that sort of thing, and how like adverts and things like that are extra appealing to our senses. So much of that is like things we've becoming like desensitized to things. And I think the main character in the comic was like a T-Rex, and I remember it's in black and white, but I can never find that webcomic again, because it talked about the concept and it gave the concept a word, and I was just like, that was a really cool comic. Anyway, sorry, that's got nothing to do with anything. But yeah, crab fishing. So yeah, that's what we did. It was just like on a pier or something. We weren't like in a boat or anything. In fact, I remember the other like tourists, I imagine, scuba diving in the water at the same place we went to. And by the way, that water was incredibly clear. It was like crystal clear. You could see like to the bottom. I mean, granted, we were in like in very shallow waters, but you could see like the bottom of the lake. To be honest, it was pretty cool. And I remember trying out, like, I probably caught a couple of crabs, not very big ones, like maybe if you ball up your fists, they're probably like that size, but we did catch some really big ones, which I guess if you made like a circle using your thumb and middle fingers, that's probably how big its like carapace was. Carapace? Shell? I don't really know how you say that word. Which was pretty big, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, but I must have caught a few or something. I remember at one point, I can't remember, the family friend like pulled up the hook, the bait or whatever, and it had like 3 crabs just like all held onto each other on the hook. Not on the hook, on the meat onto each other, which is very much, I suppose, a crabs in a bucket, except for crabs on a fishing line sort of scenario. I don't know why I remember this, because it's sort of thing where it's like an activity I've only ever done once, you know. Once in a lifetime, literally, but it's really not one which had much of an impact on me, because it's not like I did it and was like, wow, this is so fun. No, I just sort of went, okay, and it's a novel experience, I suppose, is how I describe it. But I do remember trying to catch basically this tiniest, sorry Gulliver, we're just going to ignore you, this tiny little crab. It was basically like, it looked like a spider is probably how I would describe it. It was so minusculely small, where it was just like, whoa, you know, I didn't even know there were like such tiny mini crabs. It was probably a baby crab or something, and I remember it skittering over rocks like with supersonic speed, and me like, I don't know, trying to catch it, I guess. Like, I guess that's really all it is. It's kind of like a game, isn't it? At least the way we interfaced with it. I think I did eventually catch it, but then it just like it was one of the only crabs which actually just like let go of a meat or something. So it was not something you could potentially reel up. So, you know, it's a little one that got away. I also remember another time, I think it was my sister or my father or something, like, not another time, it was actually the same time, but like during that moment they like dropped the crab fishing reel thing into the water. I just remember it floating on the water, and my dad like reaching into like the lake thing, just like lake thing, trying to grab it. We did grab it, you know, it wasn't there just like being left polluting the lake or whatever, but I don't even know if it was a lake. I genuinely have no clue where this was. I don't even know if it was in England, to be perfectly honest. I must imagine it probably was, but I don't know where. Like, where in the UK can you go like crab fishing? I can't imagine it's that popular thing. Do we have many like crabs? I remember there were brown crabs. Well, okay, I don't know like the breed of crabs, but I just remember their like shell was brown. They weren't orange or anything like that. So I don't know if it's like somewhere, like there's somewhere in UK which is particularly famous for crab fishing outside of like, you know, rock pools or that sort of thing that you might find in a British beach. But I don't know, it just sort of came to mind. And it honestly seems like a very strange way, I suppose, to actually crab fish in the first place. Because yeah, I mean, like crab fishing and lobster fishing, like are the only way, I suppose, on a mass industrial scale, you kind of do it like with a pot or like a big net or something, right? But I guess that kind of goes with like normal fishing as well. I don't even know. Oh, okay, Apollo, you're just very much not wanting me to go see Brewster today, I see. That's fine. We can luckily go through our alternative path of using a flower route. So yeah, I mean, I guess this is probably why the Google Images is just giving me like a load of nets or what have you. I do find it funny that we did put the crabs in a bucket, literally crabs in a bucket, I guess, which didn't escape. Oh, this reminds me of another time actually. But I don't think it was, we weren't crab fishing or whatever, but it was in primary school. We went to like a river and we were collecting like the local fauna from the river, and we were like putting them in a bucket. And I think one of the groups got like I don't know if it's a water scorpion. Is that what I'm thinking of? I can't be right. I don't even think I am in the UK. Maybe it was a water scorpion. Yeah, like one of them got like a water scorpion or something which looked very similar to it. And it was just swimming around in the bucket or whatever. And that's all I remember. And we just had to make like a... Oh, I remember. We put them like in trays. in our classroom or whatever, and then we had to like write reports on like, or like describe like what sort of animals there were in there. And I remember one of them was like a pond skater or like some sort of spider thing on the water, which kept trying to climb out, and I kept just like trying to blow it back in, because I'm just like, I don't think we can have like a river spider just like walking about on the tray or whatever. You might be like, what did you do with what did you do with them afterwards? I think what we did is we, some of the people who went on the trip, the adults, like took all the buckets of water with the creatures and like poured it back into the lake or the river or something. I don't know that for sure, to be perfectly honest. But you know, there you go. That's not really crab fishing, I guess. That's more like water snail fishing, because that's kind of like the majority of the things that we ended up catching, quote quote. But anyway, there's my youngster, I suppose, fishing stories. Never been fishing since, and honestly, I'm sort of like, about it. Crab fishing individual. Are like crab fishing real? I want to know like what you use to actually do the crab fishing. I'm just using a fishing rod. Oh, here we go, crabbing line. Hand line reel. This is what we used. I remember it, and it's even orange. So it might have been the exact ones we used. I genuinely don't know. Or maybe it's just like popular at the time. Maybe it's something else. Who knows? The world is a wild and mysterious place. Anyway, crabs in a bucket. If you don't know what I'm talking about, because maybe you've never heard the phrase before, it's basically, you know, I think the concept is if you put a crab in a bucket, it will be able to climb out. But if you put like 20 crabs in a bucket, they all try and climb on top of each other to try and get out, and that's it, they can't get out or something, which I don't know how much validity that has. Like, certainly if you put 20 crabs on top of each other, they all climb on top of each other, certainly, but like that's because there's not much room in a bucket. I don't know if one crab could really get out of a bucket by itself. It seems like or maybe I'm just picturing a different sort of bucket. It seems like it'd be quite, you know, tall for a crab to get out of, but what do I know? Anyway, that's what crabs in a bucket is. Basically, it's used as a metaphor, simile? I don't know. It's an idiom for basically a load of people hampering their own progress from hampering each other's progress and thus their own, when they would have been better off just, you know, trying to attain their own goal without hampering each other in the first place. You know, you get what I mean? Maybe I can think of a good example, like sort of you're having like a race or something, but you're having a race with like a load of other people or something, but you're all too busy trying to sabotage each other, so the other people don't win, rather than just concentrating on yourself winning. Or actually, yeah, no, that's not really a good example, because that's inherently competitive. It's meant to be for something cooperative. I don't know, but it was probably like a good example if you Google it. Crabs in a bucket. Crab mentality is what it's called, huh? If I can't have it, neither can you. That's how Wikipedia describes it. Baby crabs are trapped in a bucket. While any one crab can easily start to climb out, it will nonetheless be pulled back in by the others. Oh, I think I just misunderstood what crabs in a bucket meant. It doesn't mean one crab on its own can climb out. It just means if any crab starts to try climbing out, it will be pulled back in by the others. And thus the group collectively demises, rather than at least like half of them escaping. So members of a group would attempt to reduce the self-confidence of any member who achieves success beyond the others, out of envy, jealousy, resentment, spite, or conspiracy. Same claims about behaviour embodied in tall poppy syndrome. I've never heard of that. Cutting down the tall poppy. Okay, sure. The allegory of a long spoon. I forgot about that. I think I actually talked about that once. Tragedy of the commons. This is a phrase I hear all the time, but I don't actually know what it means. For a concept is widely discussed in economics. If numerous independent individuals should enjoy unfettered access to a finite valuable resource, they all tend to overuse it and may end up destroying its value altogether. Oh. Voluntary restraint is not a rational choice for any one individual. I see. The tragedy of the commons. That is tragic. Anyway, crabs in a bucket, I guess. Well, I didn't really talk about crabs in buckets, so I guess we'll title this episode crab fishing. I don't know. I just like vaguely remember it. Although, last thing to check. UK crab fishing. I don't know where it is. I would have guessed like in Cornwall or somewhere. Somewhere very down south of the seaside. Apparently there's a few crabbing spots in the UK. Alright. I've got no clue. It was just like an experience I had at one point, and I don't remember it since. Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Twitter, Discord down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.